New City, welcome back to the channel. It's a girl Vermore, and I'm back with another reaction video. Guys, today I'm super excited. Guess why? Because it's my birthday! Yay! It's my birthday, April 18. I am super excited. Oh my god. Guys, please wish me a happy birthday in the comments. It will mean a lot to me. My goodness, I'm a year older today. Please wish me a happy birthday. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, guys. Alright, let's get into the video. So, this is rather sad. Douglas Murray roasts Joe Biden over latest gaffe. Guys, can't wait to get into the video. But before we get started, we have some amazing people watching us for the first time. If you're new to the channel, hello, I'm Vera. I do reaction videos. This is something that you love. Why not join Vera City? Hit the subscribe button below, turn on the post notification bell so that you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And that's, guys, let's go.
We've got him. I know he's your favorite. Every week we speak to one of the finest thinkers of his generation, the best-selling author of inspired works, including The Strange Death of Europe, The War on the West, and The Madness of Crowds. Douglas, let's start with what could be the end of Joe Biden's run for re-election. A special counsel report found he willfully retained and disclosed classified documents at his home, but no charges were recommended because the 81-year-old commander-in-chief is greatly diminished mentally. The report not only noted Biden's diminished faculties and lack of mental state of willfulness, but it also noted Joe Biden couldn't even remember when he was vice president. So he's too diminished to stand trial, but he can run the most powerful country in the world?
I know. It was an astonishing revelation, this, Rita. Came out late yesterday, and many people said immediately, well, that's it. Clearly, the Democrats are trying to finally push Joe Biden off the nomination ticket because this revelation, as it were, from within. I mean, it's not coming from the Republicans. This revelation that during his questioning, he couldn't remember which years he'd been vice president. He couldn't remember, I think, the year he'd run for president. And it was clear they didn't want to go ahead because a jury would find that he had not enough cognitive ability to talk about his own experience. And the idea that this same man is in the most powerful position in the world is something which is it's a scandal you and I have talked about before. The Democrats have clearly been trying to cover it over. They've been hoping he'll get better or something like that, or it'll become less noticeable, and they can just allow him to roll on. And the fact is, though, again, we saw this only in the press conference he gave to say in response to these revelations, no, I'm okay. During the press conference, he said he just had a conversation with President Sisi of Mexico. As you know, President Sisi is not the president of Mexico. He's president of Egypt. No. But there was a time when he just said that was a normal Biden gaffe. But now it looks like it's not just a normal Biden gaffe. It's really rather sad.
And if he wasn't protected by the bulk of the media all this time, today wouldn't be so shocking. But if you've paid attention, and we've discussed it, for more than 3 years now, even whilst he was running for president, the cognitive decline there has been obvious. And yeah, for reasons that defy logic, his handlers had him address the nation today. It did not go well. He lashed out at the special counsel and at the reporters who questioned him about his cognitive abilities.
For months, when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, watch me. Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
That's not the judgment of the press. She is the press. And as you mentioned, he also seemed to think Mexico shares a border with Gaza. He mixed up the Egyptian leader with that of Mexico.
As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate.
Douglas, what happens next? Can he run again?
Well, I'd have thought it's just increasingly clear that he can't. But as we know, there is this kind of extraordinary situation that Biden has, which is that the Democrats believe that if there's any major shakeup on their ticket this year, it'll all just be an advantage to Donald Trump, who's certainly the most likely person by a very far margin to become the Republican nominee. And effectively, Trump and Biden have been sort of like this. They've been leaning on each other. And both parties think if their guy goes, then they collapse. Now, the Republicans may or may not be right in that. The Democrats, I think, to an extent, are right in that, because, the question for them is they don't have a very good bench of people in their party. They may have coming up. There's some talented younger congressmen and so on, congresswomen in the Democratic Party. There's also some absolute left-wing nutters. But the main thing is that it's not obvious who would replace Biden as the nominee, particularly at this relatively late stage. Obviously, it can't be Kamala Harris, who we know, in the polls that the American public regard as absolutely unfit for the presidency. But they have to sort of find some way to deal with the Kamala problem. And then you got, somebody like Gavin Newsom of California. And we've just seen your previous segment, Rita. What did he do to California? He did that. He did that. He made it a state in which theft was legal.
He's been a disaster in every role that he's served, but he keeps failing up, and gosh, he could be president one day. Now, let's move along to your home country. You wrote a powerful piece for The Spectator today where you said you're embarrassed by modern Britain and that you no longer even recognise your own country. Why is that?
Well, there's several things. One is the fact that, as I say in that piece, virtues and certain aspects of the national characteristic which I grew up with, and which I think epitomized Britain, like a sort of certain doggedness, a sort of stoicism, and actually I think a courage in the face of adversity, a quiet courage, which was strong when provoked, all seem to have disappeared. There's endless sort of whining. The House of Commons this week spent its time talking about whether or not the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, should have made a reference to trans people that wasn't 100% politically correct in the eyes of the left, whilst the mother of a murdered trans child was in the gallery of the Commons, and they all were just out competing each other to be more and more invasive about that. Meantime, massive problems affecting the country, like the fact we have these hate marches every Saturday, in which people are completely, mainly Muslims, are completely unbothered about exposing their bigotries, their hatreds, including their hatred of Britain. This just goes on all the time. Every Saturday, it happened again last Saturday, they actually clamber over our war memorials to our war dead, and they defile them and desecrate them. And the police let them do it. And by contrast, there has recently been an MP who we discussed before who stepped down because of threats to his life from Muslim extremists. And everyone in the Commons and elsewhere sort of said, oh, well, how sad. And I don't recognize that. I remember the generation of Margaret Thatcher, who, when the Brighton bomb went off, the conference bomb, the Brighton hotel bomb that was meant to kill her, did kill a number of her friends and many others, stood outside the next day and said, the conference will go ahead. We will never give in to the men of violence. I don't know where that spirit has gone. It seems to have been beaten out of many of the British people, at least, certainly our ruling class.
Well, yeah, that stoic stiff upper lip has been replaced by self-loathing, it seems. Is that what Britain needs? A leader like Thatcher? The options at the coming election are pretty grim, Douglas. Ain't no Thatchers there.
No, there certainly ain't. I mean, Keir Starmer is just trying to get through and get into office with people noticing as little as possible about his policies. I suspect he'll make them plain to us, as I said before, once he's in office. And Rishi Sunak just has this terrible, terrible, increasing desperation in his eyes as he realizes that he's for the chop at the electoral ballot box. But yes, it's this thing. I mean, you can see him there, this sort of grinning, desperate to please, no real leadership. No willingness to do the unpopular things you sometimes need to do and just explaining, not leading but following, as the phrase goes. But as I say, the thing that just stuns me is, Britain has undergone massive demographic transformation in the last couple of decades, and it's a transformation which has gone on rocket fuel under this Conservative government. It will almost certainly continue at a similar rate under a Labour government. And it seems to me that it's because of this that our political class is so incapable of identifying problems in front of it. When the MP who said he would stand down because of threats to his life stood down, he said that one of the reasons was that his murdered colleague, Sir David Amess, was murdered by Ali Harbi Ali. And one of the other people he wanted to apparently kill was Mike Freer. Well, an interview this week, in an interview this week, Mike Freer was asked about this, and the interviewer said, "What motivated Ali Harbi Ali?" And Mike Freer said, "I'm not sure about that. I don't know." Well, here's what. He was killed by an Islamist who followed jihadist ideology. And it's a darn fool position for a man to be in, to stand up for somebody more than he's willing to stand up for himself. But I can say this on behalf of Mike Freer. The person who was apparently thinking of killing him and who did kill Sir David Amess MP was motivated by jihadist ideology. And I would have liked to have seen in the wake of that Sir David's MPs not just mourn his death as if he had died of natural causes, but to have said, we will root this ideology out of Britain wholesale. It has no place here. Did anyone come near saying that? No, not a bit.
Oh.
And that is a catastrophe for Britain.
Absolute catastrophe. They didn't even say it when jihadists murdered children at a concert. You just wonder what they're thinking and why they just show this cowardice. You've been impacted by this in a small way just in the past week. Your speech had to be moved after the venue submitted to the bullying and the threats, I'd imagine, of the anti-Israeli mob. But the protesters still turned up at another venue to scream abuse about you. Let's have a look.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Lyric theatre, shame on you! No much theatre, shame on you!
Douglas, do you feel safe in modern Britain, in London?
Well, I don't think anyone's particularly safe in modern Britain, modern London. I think Jews are particularly unsafe. I was meant to be speaking at the Apollo Theatre on Shaftesbury Avenue in the heart of the West End. 1,000 people were turning out. And the theatre was bullied into cancelling the event on the day. And the event was moved to a synagogue, which was the only place the police could protect. I believe that the job of the British police on such an occasion, I believe the job of the theatre is to keep the show on the road. And I believe the job of the police is to ensure that the public and attendees are safe. But that wasn't what happened. Some of the staff were apparently threatened, ushers and so on. And instead of the owners reporting this to the police immediately and the police taking action, the staff said they wouldn't turn up to work. So then more people were brought in from another theatre, and then they had their addresses leaked. They were apparently threatened and intimidated in turn, and they too refused to turn up. So,
Douglas, it's mob rule. It's mob rule that the thugs are winning. It is not, yes. Should not be happening in a civilised country. Douglas Murray, thank you so much for your time this evening. Really appreciate it.
And also, this was a lot to take in. Joe Biden. The truth is that there's absolutely something wrong with Joe Biden. Him not remembering things, not even, like, he cannot even remember his age. He can't remember some things, and he's mixing up names, you know. So those kind of things, I don't know. Even with all of this, some people are still campaigning for him, still voting for him. They still feel like he's the best man for the job. Well, what I would say is they still feel he's the best man for the job compared to Donald Trump. I feel like Donald Trump is still better, right? Like Donald Trump is a no nonsense man. They call him a dictator, they call him all sorts of names, but he's still the best man for the job. Like Donald Trump and Biden. Look at these two men. I mean, Biden is old and I think he's already going senile. He's an old man. No offense. His old age, right? His old age has gotten the better part of him. So the man should be allowed to rest. Biden should rest. Let Donald Trump take over. Trump still has so much energy and is definitely full of life. That is my own opinion. What do you guys think about this video? Drop a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, give it a huge thumbs up and please share this video. And if you're new to the channel, join viewers see. Use the subscribe button below, turn on the post notification bell so that you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And thus guys, I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe, love you, bye.